I read the Odyssey as Gen Z for the first time. And this is your sign to read the Odyssey, because it was honestly such a gag. Like, there's a reason why this story has been around for so long. And it's honestly impressive that it still translates to now. Just like the themes and the excitement and the storytelling. So, I read Emily Wilson's version, and I would really recommend this just because it's just amazing. Also, it looks thick, it looks long, it's about 500 pages, but the thing is, there's a little bit of like a translator's introduction over here, and it's like 100 pages. Just Emily Wilson providing background information, motivation about why she translated it, what she thought about when translating it. Very helpful, an incredible precursor to the actual poem. And when you read the poem, because it's like the pentameter or whatever, it only takes about half the page. So it's basically only 200 pages when you think about it. So yeah, it definitely seemed daunting at first for me because I struggle with like the classics. I feel like I have the kind of brain that just works better with like stuff written now. Another thing, so good. Look, they're literally like the same thickness. So this is your sign to read the Odyssey, even if you might be scared. Emily Wilson talked a bit about like why she translated it, I guess, and like just what she was thinking about when she was translating, and I just think it's really interesting. She was like, my use of contemporary language, because Emily Wilson chose to translate the Odyssey into not like old English, you know, like this came out recently and it's translated into our English. So this is what she had to say about it. My Homer does not speak in your grandparents' English, since that language is no closer to the wine-dark sea than your own. I have tried to keep to a register that is recognizably speakable and readable, while skirting between the turbidness of artifice and the Scylla of slang. Like, she ate that. She just ate that. She also said, but of course, the English of the 19th or early 20th century is no closer to the Homeric Greek than the language of today. Yes, because why would I choose to try and read a 3,000-year-old poem, analyze the meaning of the story, as well as like actually trying to decipher the words? So I just think she's incredible for doing something like this, because that's the main reason I struggle with classics, is like reading in an English that is not for my generation. I just struggle with that. So she was awesome for this. Yes. One thing I found very interesting to learn about was the Homeric Question. So it's this idea that Homer might not be one singular person, and that kind of blew my mind because it's credited as Homer. So I suppose in my head, and there's also statues of Homer. So in my head, that means like it was like one guy who wrote the Iliad and the Odyssey as a poem. But there's like the Homeric Question is still being debated. There's like ideas that it was one person, Homer, but who like compiled all these ideas, but it was like the poem was more of an epic, poetic tradition that he had pieced together over many years of storytelling. Anyway, it's something that's debated by like scholars, not me. So I'll let them do the deciphering. But that kind of blew my mind, because in my head it's like, yeah, it's just Homer. He wrote the Iliad and the Odyssey, but then there's the Homeric Question, like who was Homer? Was Homer just one person? Was he the one that wrote them, but someone else said the poem? Very interesting, very interesting. There was also this scholar named Samuel Butler, who in the 19th century famously suggested in the 19th century that the Odyssey must have been written by a woman because it has so many interesting and sympathetically portrayed female characters. So he's got a point, but the thing is, nobody really agreed with him, and I'll read this section where Emily Wilson touches on why this is not a fair case. Butler's claim relied on the dubious assumptions that only a woman would want to write about female characters in any depth. So, you know, men can write interesting female characters, and women can write interesting male characters. We just need to try, which I like. Because, yeah, like, men can write interesting characters, interesting female characters, they just need to, like, try. And that is so apparent here, though. There are so many interesting women in this poem. I have not read the Iliad, but I have read a summary of the Iliad. Edith Hamilton's summary of the Iliad I read just a few days ago, actually. So I do have a bit of background knowledge of Helen and such, but yeah, even though she's not, I just mean because she's not in the Odyssey that much. But yeah, like Helen, Penelope is very interesting. Clytemnestra was mentioned briefly. I'm very excited to learn more about her story. Maybe I'll read the modern retelling of her. Also, Circe, very interesting. Loved seeing her story. And this leads me to my new favorite Greek mythological figure, Nausicaa. Oh my goodness. She is who I thought Calypso was when I was a kid, if that makes sense. So, actually, I'll touch on that first. Learning who Calypso really is. Oh my god, my heart is broken. My heart is broken. I used to be so obsessed with her because I'm a huge Percy Jackson kid. So, and Calypso's in those books. Like, Percy literally goes to Calypso's island. And Leo goes to Calypso's island and gets her off the island, which I was so gagged by that when I was a kid. Because it's like, to me, her myth was so heartbreaking. Punished on this island and falling in love with the people that wash up on shore and there's no escape and they always leave. That really hit me when I was a kid, especially the chapters with Percy Jackson on Calypso's island. But she's evil in this book. She's evil. And I'm just like, oh, I get it. Rick Riordan had to make her family friendly. So we're not going to say that she was being creepy towards Percy. Because Percy's like 14. But in the Odyssey, she's... Okay, actually no spoilers, but in the Odyssey, she's just like not who I thought she was. And that's interesting to me because obviously Calypso in the Odyssey came first 3,000 years ago. Which, isn't it so cool that a character like that can survive so long to make it into like a children's book series 3,000 years later? Incredible. So Nausicaa's my new favorite. She is just awesome. I don't know. She's just great. And I had a question asked recently of me. It's like, which mythological character in Greek mythology would you want to be? And I put a lot of thought into this. Also, let me know in the comments, which figure would you want to be? And I put a lot of thought into this because, like, okay, first of all, I'm not going to say a god because I don't want to get smited for comparing myself to a god. And then I'm like, okay, let's see. Like, there's Orpheus, Atalanta, maybe Perseus even. Like, Orpheus's powers are super cool. But no, it's Nausicaa. Because nothing bad happens to her. Orpheus, yeah, his powers are cool. But his story is so heartbreaking. His story is heartbreaking. So I don't want that to happen to me. Nausicaa, she is kind and the world treats her that way because she showed hospitality to Odysseus when no one else would, with no ulterior motives, you know? And that is just, And she's gorgeous, of course. Well, I just pictured her as gorgeous because she's a princess. And no, she was a queen. So honestly, like, this is worth it just for her. Also, as a Percy Jackson kid, it was very interesting to see how much... Well, I've also just read Edith Hamilton's mythology book, and that also provided more background. But it's so interesting to see how much is taken directly from the Odyssey into Percy Jackson. There's, of course, Polyphemus. That one was obvious. But, like, Percy leaving Ogygia and going back to Annabeth exactly mimics Odysseus leaving Ogygia for Penelope. And I obviously, like, it's different because Percy and Annabeth hadn't had their underwater kiss yet. This is your sign to read the Odyssey because it has been around so long for a reason. And if you're into Greek mythology, it's a must. Read Emily Wilson's version because it just works. It just works. All right. thank you so much for watching. This was very surface level, but these are just like the moments that stood out the most to me, but the whole thing is so worth it. And I'm just so happy I read it. Highly recommend. Thanks for watching.